another edition of Sportszone. This is a special edition of Sportszone. It's the podcast
Yes, sir.
version, which I don't know if that's better or worse than the usual version.
Well, they can't see your bad smile, that's for sure.
So probably better.
Yes.
Probably better because they can't see me. And we're going to start off, as we usually do, with our soccer segment, Studio 90. I'm joined, as always, by Lucas.
Hello, hello.
Say hi to the people. So let's first start off with talking about the Champions League. It is Wednesday at about 5:30 right now, so this week's fixtures just finished. And I think the marquee fixture this week, or the one everyone's talking about, was that Ajax-Chelsea game yesterday, which ended 4-4. Ajax going up 4-1, and then something I've never ever seen before, 2 red cards in the span of about 20 or 30 seconds.
Both center backs, too.
Both their center backs for Ajax. So, Lucas, what did you make of this game, and which team do you think came out happier with this result?
Well, when you look at it, there's 4 goals on each end. 2 red cards on one side, 2 own goals by Chelsea, 1 VAR that was disallowed, and a penalty again by Chelsea. 2 penalties by Chelsea. So this was a terrible game, like, in all seriousness. But the fact that there were 2 penalties on one side and the other team had 2 own goals is already a terrible game in its own. But these are 2 young teams, 2 very exciting teams. I think Ajax is lucky to have gotten away with this with a draw, because they did give up 2 goals after the initial red cards there. But definitely an interesting game. I think both these teams advance out of their group, and I'm interested to see if they they can advance far this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams are definitely teams who are two very young teams. Chelsea with that transfer ban.
First 4 minutes, Tammy Abraham own goal, and then a Jorginho penalty. That's insane.
Crazy. I mean, Tammy Abraham has had a great season. I think,
that attacking trio, Mount, Abraham, and Pulisic, those young guys, they're looking real good. They're keeping guys like Batshuayi on the bench.
I was gonna mention Pulisic because he started off the season pretty slow, and we've seen this past couple weeks he's just completely picked it up a level. That hat-trick against Burnley. He scored another goal during the week, and then he really put out a great performance for his Ajax. Do you think that Pulisic has solidified himself for Frank Lampard? Sorry, in the starting 11.
Well, the biggest thing with the whole Pulisic and Frank Lampard relationship was Lampard didn't want Pulisic. Pulisic was a gift from the owner, Roman, as well as Sarri before he left. So Lampard really didn't have many plans for him, moving into the season. You saw that at the beginning. He didn't play him. He was playing veterans like Pedro and Willian over him. And you see him players like Mason Mount positions on the left wing, which is typically where you see Christian Pulisic play. So definitely, I think these last few games have he's really given Pulisic that freedom to really kind of find his way into the middle of the park. Abraham's not the best dribbler. We've seen that this year. We've seen that before when he was over at West Brom. But definitely, I think that you see Pulisic. He's definitely coming into his own. I think he's got that starting left wing spot down. It's his to lose.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a guy who, a young player who comes to Chelsea with huge price tag and a lot of pressure on him. So, I think that he started off the year slow, but he's only 21 years old, and that's what you expect. And he's picked it up now, and I think there's no reason to think he won't continue that for the rest of the season. And we'll stick in the Premier League. Marquee matchup this Sunday: Liverpool-Man City, number 1 versus number 2. I think the matchup that everyone sort of looks for every year, because these are undoubtedly the top 2 teams in the league. So, Lucas, who do you think has the advantage this weekend?
Yeah, well, right now you see Liverpool having an advantage in the table, but I do think it's Man City's game to lose. I think that if Liverpool are going to have to win this game, they're going to have to win it in the first 55, 60 minutes, because as soon as Man City brings in their bench, and they got these fast guys, if you bring Riyad Mahrez off the bench, you bring on Gabriel Jesus off the bench, even that back line's looking a little shaky right now with the injuries, as well as, they never really replaced Vincent Kompany this summer. But I definitely think that, as soon as the subs come in, Man City's just going to get a couple of cheap goals at the end. I think it's going to be 2-1 Man City.
Interesting. I tend to go the other way. I think Liverpool are going to win this one. I think they've been the better team this year, and like you mentioned, I think that center back issue for Man City is going to come back to bite them, especially against this front 3. I mean, this is probably the best front 3 in the world right now with Firmino, Salah, and Mane, and I just think that with with Fernandinho having to go from center mid to center back, that's going to leave them exposed at the back. And I just think that Liverpool.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you have Rodri filling in that CDM role, and Rodri's definitely maybe not as good as Fernandinho, but it's not like a large drop off. You have to remember Fernandinho's like 33 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying as Fernandinho playing center back position, he's not necessarily used to, especially against this front three. It's going to leave them a little exposed. And I think that just overall, Liverpool have been more consistent this year. They've played better. So, but I mean, we'll see.
I guess we'll see. What do you have the score as?
I'll go 2-1 Liverpool.
All right. You want me to 10 on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, we can talk about it.
All right, for sure.
The last topic we'll talk about is Bayern Munich, who fired their manager after a pretty embarrassing 5-1 loss. So, I mean, a lot of names have been thrown out there: Wenger, Mourinho, Allegri. Who do you think should get the job?
So I think that all these options are terrible right now. Wenger's really old and he plays an outdated style of football. You saw that with Arsenal a couple years ago. I think Mourinho would be a great coach for this type of system, especially because they have a very strong back line. However, their attacking options are a little bit on the slower side. You don't really have as many pacey players as you would on like a Liverpool or a Man City. So, those counterattacks that Mourinho is known for, I'm not really sure if you're going to see that at all. So I think actually the best option right now is Ajax coach Aaron Ten Hag. But
he came out and said he wouldn't take the job.
But see that he can't. His contract's still like at the end of the season he can move over there.
Yeah, it's only November. They need someone for the rest of the season. Someone fairly permanent, don't you think?
I mean, that's true, but in terms of the stopgap, I mean, I've seen Wenger as the name they're saying for the stopgap, but I just don't think it'd be a great idea. That's all. It's outdated style.
I actually think Wenger would be a great hire. I think Wenger's a great manager. He pretty much transformed not only Arsenal but English football, the way that they play, the free-flowing style of play, and I just think that Wenger in that team with all those attacking options, I mean, that team could be great with Wenger, but I mean, I don't necessarily think Wenger's a long-term option, but for the rest of the season, I think, wouldn't be terrible.
Bring back Yup.
There you go.
He's going to come back fifth time.
All right, we'll end on that. More Sportszone after this. Welcome back to Sportszone. This is our NBA segment, Throwing It Up. I'm joined here by Cam, and we're about a couple weeks into the season. We're going to talk about surprising teams, impressive teams, and teams who have disappointed us so far. So, Cam, we'll start off in the Western Conference. Who do you think's been the most impressive team so far?
I mean, without a doubt, you have to say no one expected the Suns to win. I saw some crazy stat, like the Suns already have 5 wins. It took them like months to achieve the same feat last season. And it's not just that the Suns are playing well, people are kind of finally giving credit to Devin Booker, what Devin Booker was doing on his own. It's more so the people around Devin Booker that people have not seen it coming. Like Aaron Baines is averaging a double-double, and he looked like a backup center to Ayton coming off of the Celtics. I think they got him in free agency, but with Ayton suspended, Ayton was playing well too, and then Aaron Baines steps in and he's putting up Ayton-esque numbers, at least based off his rookie year. And Kelly Oubre is developing like a lot of people thought he would when he went over to the Suns. People thought that was a bad, a bad trade when he originally went from the Wizards. And I think that's finally coming to fruition here. Like you're seeing him develop into like a good role player.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give Monty Williams credit there in Phoenix. When I saw DeAndre Ayton suspended for 25 games, I said, well, there goes the Suns, the lottery team, maybe a potential first-round pick team.
No, yeah, everyone immediately everyone's just like, of course they get DeAndre Ayton gets drug tested as soon as the Suns win a game.
and then they go out and they beat the Sixers and hand them their first L of the season, and then it's really crazy what they're doing right now. And I'm sort of the type of person where I gotta wait at least 20 games to see if a team is for real.
No, that's a great point because we see this. I feel like we see like a version of this every season, or the teams that we stack up to be the best always struggle kind of out of the gate because a lot of the big free agents that are coming in, they have to kind of feel. We're seeing this especially with the Nets. I think with Kyrie is you have to if you're like a ball dominant player, you really have to feel out how it is with like a new team, and so I think that kind of helps to explain how Philly can lose to the Suns early on. Not taking anything away, the Suns could be a surprise, like, you know, like I don't want to say anything blasphemous, but like at this point they look like they could be a surprise 8th seed or something. I don't want to go that far yet, but you know, this has happened before where like teams that you wouldn't think would have a chance against another team just suddenly, you know,
shout out Kelly Oubre.
Oh man.
Like what a player, what a guy.
Waiting for that Lakers Suns matchup, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But which team in the West do you think has disappointed you the most so far? I mean, Golden State, it's not really their fault.
But I feel like
a lot of injuries. Yeah,
you can't do anything about the injuries, but at the same time, like at least I thought going into the season, like even when like Steph was still healthy before he broke the hand, they still didn't look like the same team. Like people were thinking, oh, you know, they can just overpower the offense, but you could see like having Klay not in there and like supplanting, you know, D'Angelo Russell in there, like you can see the drop off, especially with, you know, Draymond's not getting younger. He's like, with especially that contract's gonna hurt him the farther he's on the team, just because, you know, like he can't guard every position anymore. And he like his shot has become more of a it's weird. His shot has become more of a liability as he's gotten older, when normally, you know, the normal progression is, you know, your shot develops the longer you're in the league. But like I don't know, I guess like I still expected more from this team, even with the players they lost to injury or otherwise.
I mean, I don't know if we've ever seen as a team go from, you know, one of the best teams and probably the best team in the league last year to one of the worst teams. I mean, you saw that starting lineup they put out the other day.
Still beat the Trailblazers, which really hurts. Really hurts.
But I mean, I think that, you know, that Golden State front office has got to look at maybe trading D'Angelo Russell right now, because, you know, it's doing him no good being on that team if you're just going to be a lottery team, and you might as well go for the first overall pick, who potentially might be LaMelo Ball. But
do you really think they need more offense? I think they need to draft a defensive player. I don't know.
We'll save that for another day.
But just a quick comparison. I feel like their starting lineup right now, especially with the injuries, it reminds me of, do you remember that starting lineup for the Lakers when it was older Kobe, when he was out with his Achilles? Yeah. That starting lineup, I'm seeing parallels between that. The difference is, you know, like we saw in the Trailblazers game, the Golden State rookies looked pretty good. I can't remember his name, but there was one guy who went for like 36.
Paschal? Yeah, big man.
And Jordan Poole hasn't looked bad. He's gotten crossed up a couple times on defense, but offensively, he looks like he could be like a pretty good player. True. So I guess like there could be some talent on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is true. We'll see what happens. I don't imagine them making the playoffs this year, but I mean, I trust in Steve Kerr to sort of salvage anything from that situation, because I think he's a great coach.
All right, let me turn on you though. What's been a surprising team in the East for you?
Surprising team in the East. I mean, you got to go Charlotte. I mean, this team on paper is quite possibly the worst team in the league. I mean, when I saw that contract they gave to Terry Rozier, I really didn't believe it. I mean, the fact that guy is making that much money is insane, but give him credit. He's playing well so far, and this team is playing well. And I don't think they can continue this. I think when we talk about the Suns, they've got Devin Booker, so at least they have a chance of continuing. This Charlotte team, I mean, is Terry Rozier their best player? I'm really not sure, and I really don't know how they're 4-3 right now. But hey, props to them. I think a team to watch in the East is the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, that's a great choice.
I know that, you know, Collins out for 25 games with that suspension, but Trae Young is flat out balling right now. When they made that trade for Trae Young, they traded down, they gave away Luka Doncic. I remember yelling at the TV like, "What are you doing? Luka Doncic is a transcendent player." But
and it's not true. It's just like that trade's looking more like, you know, you would take either player, honestly.
Great for both teams, and I think Trae Young's maybe a better fit for Atlanta than maybe Luka would be somehow. Just the culture of Atlanta. But I mean, Trae Young just playing so well right now, and I'm very impressed with him, and I definitely think this young team can make the playoffs.
No, yeah, definitely. If they can stay healthy, like that was the biggest, like that was kind of like you're seeing almost like, I don't want to do too much of like a comp because I don't want to go. I want to anger anybody, but like you're kind of seeing with Trae the similar like injury pattern of Curry early in his career, of like, you know, a lot of ankle injuries because, you know, offensive minded. He's a pretty good ball handler. Does a lot of dribble moves to get open looks.
I mean, the crazy thing is that Trae is almost farther along in his development at this point.
No, yeah, it's shocking how fast he's developed his shot. Like people were saying is during, sorry to interrupt, but like last year, early in his rookie year, when he was like just throwing up shots and just like his 3-point percentage was like one of the worst in the league, and people were saying, oh, he's a bust, he can't translate to the NBA 3-pointer. But then like since then he's like completely turned it around. Second half of last season, like he ran away with kind of like the rookie of the year conversation, and now this season he's continued to develop that.
Yeah, no, unbelievable development from Trae Young. We'll see how that team keeps going. I think when you're looking at the East, I think right now the Sixers are the favorite.
It's so big. That lineup's big.
I think defensively that lineup is just insane. I mean, I don't understand how you're supposed to get into the paint with that lineup.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. So I think the Sixers are probably. Has there been a team that's maybe disappointed you that you thought would be better?
I guess if I was going to choose one team that's kind of been disappointing, the Kings have been terrible to start this year. And people are already like asking for Luke Walton's head. Yeah. But like, I don't know really just how to explain it, because last season, they look like an 8th seed kind of like type of team. They have a young De'Aaron Fox. They just re-signed Buddy Hield to that contract, and people argue about like paying him that much, but like he's like the prototype for the modern NBA. He has like a high 3-point percentage, can play defense, kind of like what like Danny Green is being for the Lakers, but kind of with more size.
The Kings aren't necessarily going to draw any notable free agents, so I think you got.
No, yeah, they have to sign the people that they can get. But yeah, I definitely thought they would be better than they are right now, and I don't know if that's necessarily from coaching or just kind of like same kind of thing where like you have new people.
I think it's coaching.
You think it's Luke Walton?
I had to say. I mean,
it's pretty early. I don't know. I wouldn't can him right now.
I just don't rate Luke Walton as a good coach.
Oof.
But I mean, I think for me, if I had to pick a disappointing team, maybe even the entire league, I'm going Brooklyn.
Yeah. They're not playing terrible.
I'm watching these games and the same sort of energy involved movement I saw last year I'm not seeing this year. I'm not going to blame a certain point guard.
Former Celtic?
That I am wearing his hoodie right now. But, I mean, Kyrie, we saw what happened with Boston last year, and I just worry the same things. I don't worry because I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm kind of happy about it. I worry for Nets fans a little bit. My friend Kyle's a Nets fan. Shout out Kyle. I'm just a little worried that right now they're not the same team they were last year offensively, and I think that's what propelled them. That's why they look so good, and they just don't have the same ball movement. So
no, yeah, Kenny Atkinson came out and kind of made people are reading it as kind of like a jab at Kyrie, because after like a tough loss, he came out and said, like the offense isn't running like it did last year, and I don't know how else you can read that other than the people we brought in, great players. Kyrie's averaging like 40 a game or something. He's leading the league in scoring, I think, either like at the top or right behind Harden, but. Yeah, you're seeing it's a lot of ISO ball, and that's what he did in Boston. And the biggest question mark I'm thinking of watching this is like, how is he going to pair with Kevin Durant if he's this ball dominant? Because maybe it's just he doesn't respect Karis LeVert or the other shooters in Brooklyn to create their own shot.
I think that's just Kyrie. I think that's his personality. I think he's just sort of wired this way, and I think when Kevin Durant comes back, at least there's going to be a leader on the team to sort of talk to Kyrie to say, hey, man, you can't.
Another alpha to kind of like.
Alpha, but, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think this year's kind of a throwaway year for Brooklyn because they're waiting for Durant to get back next year
that's true.
To come back. But, yeah, I think anything else we want to touch? Yeah, I think we'll end on that. That was Throwing It Up, our NBA segment. We see Lucas here with some good shot form and more Sportszone after this.
Hello and welcome back to Sportszone. This is our NFL segment, Going for Two. I'm Camden, joined here with Lucas and Johan.
Hello.
So we just got done with Week 9. We're going to start with a couple games there, and then we're going to go into some potential matchups going into Week 10. Kind of a dud next week, but we can find a couple games in there that are probably worth watching.
Bears.
Get closer to the mic. We need to hear you. So I think we should start with Tank Bowl Episode 2 that happened this last week between the Dolphins and the Jets. We got a little Halloween Fitzmagic in there. And there was a lot of penalties on the Jets side. Lucas, did you watch this game?
No, I did. I did take a little bit of this in, and man, it was just bad. I mean, you see both teams clearly trying
their least, trying
the absolute most to lose. And it actually ended up being a pretty good game in terms of excitement, because two bad teams competing is almost as good as two good teams competing, except for with a lot more incomplete passes and a lot more turnovers.
No, yeah, something that was interesting in the game is like the decider was the second quarter. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 TD passes in the second quarter, and that was basically, other than a couple kicks, that was the Dolphins' offense for the whole day. So the whole game was basically just, can Sam Darnold and the Jets overcome the second quarter? And they couldn't.
Yes, the answer was no.
Yeah, the answer was no. But something I wanted to throw in is like, I watched like some highlights of the game, and what you saw is like early on, especially in the first half, every time Sam Darnold would finally, make a play or find an open receiver downfield, there was like 4 plays where he just got called back for like a hold or an offensive pass interference. Like part of it is his team's not helping him.
No, really, yeah, they're missing those 2011 Nick Mangold days. That's for sure.
Who?
No, but
You want to explain that?
Your centers, your famous NFL centers.
Isn't it Manigold?
He was an All-Pro.
Oh my God.
no, but what I think the game also included was the element of experience between Sam Darnold and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in the league for over 10 years, and the prime reason why he substituted in as a new starting QB for Dolphins is he was able to make passes he felt more comfortable with being in the league. And also Preston Williams and Devontae Parker, they have a little bit of experience in the league as well. More talented receivers. But unfortunately, I think so. Better than Robbie Anderson and Jameson Crowder right now. I mean, Jameson Crowder is on fire right now.
I don't know. Robbie Anderson looked pretty good against the Cowboys. That's all I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is those two talented wide receivers were very good during the game because of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And if you see his stats lately, although he's been throwing for over 200 yards, that's not what a prime quarterback could do. But he's getting the job done. And although it was Tank Bowl, I just thought it was interesting.
No, it's definitely always like, that's the thing that Ryan Fitzpatrick brings to these terrible teams is like he'll throw in a game like this where it's like it's fun to watch because for some reason he's just slinging it.
Fitzmagic?
He'll have a game where he's just like slinging for 300 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. His QBR for this game is probably higher than like his combined for the rest of the season.
Real quick question. Who would you rather have as your backup or stopgap quarterback?
Don't.
Fitzpatrick?
Don't.
Or Josh McCown?
Fitzpatrick.
Who's still in the league?
They both are.
Oh, yeah, he re-signed. I forgot. I mean,
Like,
just for the magic, like the Josh McCown, I think you get a more, it's low risk.
It's always 50%. You're never having.
Yeah, no.
But what I'm seeing with Fitzmagic is that you can get that money ball any given day,
Exactly.
where he'll just go out and win you a game that you shouldn't win. Just because for some reason he decides to be a good quarterback. Maybe he put in a special beard wax. I don't know.
He should go talk with Trubisky because he's gonna be the Bears quarterback next year.
You think that's gonna be it?
no.
Absolutely.
You want to talk about that
Saying
game?
you want Osweiler on your team.
You want to?
Tired with a bag.
No.
How about you, Johan?
Lucas, you want to talk about that Eagles Bears game? How Trubisky was holed to, what was it, 97 total yards for the first half.
No.
Terrible.
We had negative yards after the first half.
Maybe it was 97 total for the game. I don't know.
7 total for the whole game. I mean, basically.
Do you think he's lasting next season?
Oh yeah.
This is what, his third year?
Yeah, this is third year.
I heard.
Pro Bowler last.
I read an article saying that a betting company was giving back people's money because so many people bet on him to win MVP this year. They're giving the money back. Yeah, they're giving the money back.
Yeah, he had the most money.
That's pretty bad, right? That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. Well, here's the thing.
He's showing rookie numbers right now.
He was in the same draft as Mahomes and Watson. We all know that.
They traded up.
We all know that, but all I'm saying is last year took us to the playoffs with a 14
What's he doing this year?
12-2 record. I mean,
What's he doing this year?
Listen, we all have grown.
He's the reason you're losing games.
He owns a yellow.
Like he has to hold some. He has to hold some, guilt for that.
I think a lot of it comes back to Matt Nagy. I think a lot of it comes back to them trading Jordan.
I mean, he might be able to do more if he had a better quarterback.
And not replacing the main running back situation. Tariq Cohen is small. I'm bigger
He's still fast.
I'm 7 inches taller than him.
Yeah, but you're like 100 pounds less.
That is true. But we're talking about height, not weight. Yeah, what else want to talk about?
Okay, we can talk about, so the Panthers won against the Titans in week 9, and so another win for Kyle Allen. And we also got the news this week that Cam Newton's out for the season. Basically, he's on IR for his foot injury. What do you think this means? Does it change your opinion on what the quarterback situation is going to be like?
I'm a big believer that Cam Newton is going to get traded to the Chicago Bears. I think Mitch Trubisky will be quarterback. Yeah, I know you don't want him. I really think he will land some other spot. I don't really know. It's going to be kind of a
Flacco over him.
wow. I'll pass it to Cam.
How are you really going to say? Can you explain that?
Yeah, Flacco's got a ring.
Stay closer to the mic, dude.
Flacco's got a ring.
Yeah, he's getting.
He had a ring with a good Ravens defense and a running game.
I'm sorry, did the Bears not have a good defense?
If you leave a defense out on the field the whole game because Trubisky can't get a first down, that changes the game. If he can't get you a 1 first down, that defense is playing the whole game.
Unsung hero of the season, Pat O'Donnell, Chicago Bears punter, number 16, leading the league in punt yards and punt attempts.
He has more yards on the season than Trubisky. That's a realistic bet. That's a better bet than him for MVP.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, special teams player of the year.
We should move on. I don't want to trash you too much, but he's terrible. So I think we definitely need to talk about. So Ravens Patriots played. It was a highly highly anticipated game because Lamar Jackson's been amazing this season, showing a lot of growth, and the Patriots were undefeated. And the Ravens
Not anymore.
But yeah, so what do you think was the key in the Ravens being able to dispatch? Because it looked like it looked like they had control of the game for a fair amount of it. It got close near halftime, but
this after I saw the game, you look at the Ravens and the Patriots, that matchup. The Ravens have had the Patriots number for the last 10 or 11 years.
People say it's just because it's something to do with the Ravens culture where they don't have that same fear factor that other teams have around the Patriots. They kind of just go in thinking any given Sunday they could beat them. Yeah, no, they're not seeing ghosts.
Yeah, well, they're not Sam Darnold, that's for sure.
Lamar was seeing touchdowns.
Lamar was seeing a lot, and he's been seeing a lot. I think right now Russell Wilson's MVP to lose, but I think Lamar Jackson's finding his way in that top 3 category for sure.
That's definitely
for sure.
Yeah, I think another person in the MVP category, McCaffrey. I think he's doing the most. So.
Most for my fantasy team.
Thank you, Johan. But something I think we need to because what people were talking about going into this Ravens Patriots game. Not my sources, where I've read is that people were saying that it's the oldest thing to say is what Bill Belichick does is takes away your best the best thing that your team can do, and then you have to be able to play along without that. And so what I was reading was saying that what they were going to do is they were going to shut down Lamar Jackson's legs and make him throw the ball, and then that was going to decide the game. But what we saw was that they couldn't stop him. Even when they put a contain on him, he was still scrambling away.
Heisman. He's an athlete. He's got a good arm. He can run.
But even when they tried to contain him, I think so was Baker. But I mean, you're seeing that. But I guess what's really impressive is that even when they were trying to contain Lamar Jackson's running game, is that he was still able to scramble and he had a good rushing day, even though that was what they were trying to take away. And then as soon as they would try to play the pass because they couldn't limit him on the run, he was able to air it out deep. He can throw the ball now.
Yeah, no.
That's not a new thing, but I don't know, against a top-rated defense in the Patriots.
There's 5 first-round picks last year for quarterbacks, quarterbacks. He's looking like the best right now.
Yeah, best wide receiver at quarterback.
The best wide receiver at quarterback. Yeah, him, and then you probably after that you go Josh Allen, then you go Baker. Baker's too inconsistent. Josh Allen's the other consistency, and then you have you got Darnold after that. And who is Josh Rosen?
Look, you know what? A theory I've heard after the season, he's gonna get traded to the Patriots, and then he's gonna be the backup. They're gonna mold him. They're gonna make Josh Rosen an MVP kid.
If Josh Rosen wins an MVP, I'm gonna get real mad. That's all.
I mean, I'd be happy for him. He's been traded from bad team with terrible O-line to worst team with worse O-line. They literally traded away Laramie Tunsil, their best O-lineman. So you have to feel that it's personal.
Absolutely.
But okay, so looking forward to Week 10. There's not many good matchups. It looks like a lot of predictable games, but of course you can always have the upset. The only game that sticks out to me is Seahawks 49ers. What do you think about this game, Lucas?
I don't know, Johan. What do you
First loss?
Yeah.
I really, I'm actually very excited with the acquisition of Josh Gordon to the Seahawks. Him being a really wide threat, and Russell Wilson using his arm strength to go down the field. He has Tyler Lockett. He has DK Metcalf. He has Josh Gordon. So I think that's going to be a very powerful threat, and the Seattle Seahawks may defeat the 49ers this week.
Absolutely. That's going back to the whole 2012, 2013.
I agree with
rivalry
Johan.
between the Seahawks and the 49ers, except for this time,
Richard Sherman.
Sherman's on the 49ers. And I think Michael Crabtree's out of the league. I actually have no idea. Is he still in the league?
Is Ogletree still in the league?
He's either injured or out of the league.
Regardless, he's bringing back some old memories. But I think Jimmy G is looking really good this year. Garoppolo, shout out Eastern Illinois University, go Panthers.
Matt Breida.
Dude, it's Matt Breida. Like,
Dude, he's a beast.
it's not like Saquon.
No, yeah.
But no, I think you see the 49ers getting their first loss this year, though. I think it's just gonna be a wipe.
One thing that I'm worried about is like going back to Week 9 is you kind of saw in that shootout between the Seahawks and the Bucks that like there's definitely holes in this young Seattle defense, and like you saw Jameis Winston was able to air it out against them. He threw for like 300 yards, and if Jimmy Garoppolo can do like what he did in the Arizona game where he was able to like kind of step up and be able to and be able to kind of like take over the game when the run game's not going, I feel like it could happen again where the Seahawks just like are in a shootout between Russell Wilson and Jimmy Garoppolo. In that case, I would side with Russell Wilson just because he's been like MVP caliber, also been way more consistent at a greater level than Jimmy Garoppolo has been this season. But like I don't know.
Go Badgers.
Like Jimmy Garoppolo's his experience last week was something that hasn't happened all week. He threw for 4 touchdowns. It's a guy that, although Jimmy G has a reputation of being, a mediocre quarterback. Well, he was good last year, but now he's been showing up mediocre numbers throughout the season. Out of nowhere, he had this really good game, and I feel like he can keep that momentum. But again, I believe that the Seattle Seahawks will triumph over him due to the drive and being a divisional rivalry. And I don't know. I think it's a toss-up. I really think it may be a close game, defensive battle for the 49ers. But I'm very excited to see this game too.
All right, and Lucas, do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
All right. So I think that'll be going for 2 this week. See you in the next segment of Sports Zone.
Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. I'm here with Camden and Lucas, and here we're going to do our hot take segment talking about whether or not Steven Strasburg should stay with the Nationals.
And so, Lucas, would you like to start?
Absolutely. I think Steven Strasburg should get out of D.C. I love living here, but the one thing about it is cold. I believe that Steven Strasburg just won World Series MVP. 4 years, $100 million? Are you kidding me? He can probably get double that on the open market right now. He put in stellar performances the last 3 years in this postseason.
Look, I can understand opting out because he can obviously make more than $100 million. But if we lose Steven Strasburg, that's another Bryce Harper. Nationals prospect.
All our World Series last year. You don't need him.
Yeah, but he's another guy. Why would he want to leave? He's a Nationals prospect. They're the ones who believed in him. They're the ones who were with him through his Tommy John surgery. They're the ones who's been with him through all of his injuries until he's been able to finally emerge in his early 30s as this quality starter. I feel like why would he want to leave the team that supported him through the early?
He can probably go to San Diego and get a 4-year, $200 million. He'll pull a Manny Machado. He might go to Texas. He's got family in Texas apparently. He might sign there a big old contract. All I'm saying is he can get this money anywhere. Why stay on a team that had a lucky run this year and they're probably not repeating next season?
Because they're his team. They're the ones who believed in him before he was a top prospect. He should be should be the poster of that team.
All right, well, that concludes our 1 minute of hot take. I don't really know where to stand. Either he could be a loyalty like Rossi was for Tota.
Johan, I don't know what that means, but that'll be hot seat for this week. See you in the next segment of Sports Zone. Hello and welcome back to Sports Zone. This is our thumbs segment where we give our thumbs up and thumbs down for things in sports or outside of sports for the week. We're starting with me, Camden. Thumbs up this week. I want to give a thumbs up to Lamar Jackson for, he was finally able to kind of overcome what a lot of people were thinking of once he plays, a top defense. He's kind of be limited as a quarterback. I think he did a great job in that game. Getting a great run for an MVP candidate for second after Russell Wilson. Thumbs down for the Seahawks. Like, they won the game, but you shouldn't be letting Jameis Winston air it out on you like that. He didn't even throw a pick. That's what Jameis Winston does. He sees the crab legs in the backfield and he throws it, and it goes into the defense's hands. I'll give a thumbs up for the crew this week. It's nice to have people back in here, especially Johan. I loved your little excerpts you throw in there.
Let's not talk about that. This is my first time.
But that's all I really have for this week. I'll throw it over to Lucas.
Yeah, so big thumbs down to the Chicago Bears. Big thumbs up to Mitch Trubisky. I am a big supporter of Mitch Trubisky. I think that
he's trash.
He's a Pro Bowler. That's more than Joe Flacco has.
Backup Pro Bowler.
Regardless, he's still a Pro Bowler.
Because someone was injured.
Yeah, and he's got a bag and a yellow Lamborghini. What do you have, Camden? Regardless,
an arm that can hit receivers.
Maybe that's probably. I guarantee if I was out there, I would get more than 10 yards. Give me a first half. That's all I need.
Bears sign Lucas.
Yeah, Bears sign Lucas to a max contract. Anyway, that being said, thumbs up to the NBA. I'm happy the NBA is back. Thumbs up to my Milwaukee Bucks. Let's go. Thumbs up to Giannis. Thumbs up to Chris Middleton. Actually, no. Thumbs down to Chris Middleton. He's balling out, but that contract is too big. He's getting paid more than Kawhi. He's getting more money than Kawhi. And I'm sorry, Kawhi's the second best player in the league right now. There's no reason Chris Middleton should be making more.
Who's the first?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. All right. Another big thumbs up to the Chicago Bulls. Kobe White's looking like a real stud. A good draft pick. The Bulls have been getting these picks these last few years, between 6 and 9 in that draft. And we had 3 consecutive 7th overall picks. And we got Markkanen, Wendell Carter, and Kobe White. Not all great, but they're doing all right. Moving over to soccer, I'm gonna give a big thumbs up to Bayer Leverkusen. My team take the dub today. They beat Atletico Madrid, and now we're sitting tied for 3rd in the Champions League table with Lokomotiv Moscow. Big game coming up against them. The winner will most likely move on to the Europa League. I think the Champions League is great, but Leverkusen can't really hold their own up there, so they have to go down to the Europa League. And one more thing, I'm going to give a big thumbs up to the semester. It's been a rough start, but we're getting back here with the Sports Zone. Oh, another big thumbs up to Daniel Roth. We missed you, buddy. Hope you come back to you, Roth. All right, I'm passing it over to Johan in the studio.
All right. Big thumbs up to obviously Lamar Jackson. Again, like Kim, that is very humble of him to do. To walk in and fight against Tom Brady like that in a proper way. Big thumbs up to obviously the Nationals. I'm surprised you guys didn't bring them up, although I know this is pretty late.
Up to the Nats.
Went to the parade, went all the way up to the barrier, and it was pretty nice. Having the champagne shower, all that good stuff, all the confetti, getting the gear, all that. I got probably $50 worth of gear. Yeah, and from the store vendors.
You bought it.
Yeah, I copped. Big thumbs up to Rui from the Washington Wizards. Although the team could do better, he's a rookie that's really standing out to me. And of course, obviously there's a lot of bias there. I think he's becoming one of my favorite players in the NBA easily, along with Bradley Beal. And big thumbs down to Bayern Munich. What's that against FC Augsburg? I don't even want to talk about it. 5-1. And that's really it for my segment. So I'll pass it back to you, Camden.
No, yeah, Johan, I can't believe that we've already forgotten about I have already forgotten about baseball. Big shout out. I have to throw in one last thumbs up to the Nationals for, getting it done. And I was also at the parade. I didn't get the knockoff stuff that you did, but it was a great moment. It was nice to see all these like huge guys. Even Dave Martinez hoisting the trophy, even though he's not up for Manager of the Year somehow, even though he won a World Series. But I think that's it for this week of Sportszone. We'll see you in the next episode. And don't forget, Jake Elmsley sucks. That's for you, Ryan. All right. See you next week.